Pisces, and welcome to your April 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these videos for artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is working on their creative self-expression, personal growth, or spirituality in any form. So if those areas of life are important for you, I encourage you to go ahead and keep listening. I also want to point out that you can use these readings for your sun, moon, or your rising sign, and it's possible sometimes that none of them may resonate because these are just general readings. But also, a lot of times the feedback that I get is that the readings tend to make a lot more sense at the end of the month. So if you feel like exploring that, definitely come back to this video at the end of April and check in and see what connections were really there. Okay, Pisces, I have some really interesting messages for you. So while I was tuning in and connecting to your energy during meditation, I got the phrase, necessity is the mother of all creation. So this is a common phrase, and I think that it's really pertinent for you right now as a creative person and as maybe a business owner or just, whatever your roles are as an individual. I feel like there's a great time of inventiveness coming forward in your life in April and also beyond April. And I think that the solutions that you're coming to and the strategies that you're formulating are going to be very different from the norm. And by norm, I mean different from what you are used to doing for yourself, but also perhaps different from the norm of society or different from the norm of what people usually do. So there's a great feeling that's coming through in this meditation that you have a lot of opportunity to think outside the box and to be really dynamic and creative this month. And at the same time, I'm almost getting this feeling like you're getting to know yourself better. I don't know if you are like someone who's interested in taking kind of like online personality predictor tests or, the Enneagram, looking at the Enneagram or looking at archetypes. There's something here about exploring and understanding yourself better. So you could be like doing things along the lines of, taking online tests for yourself about your personality or archetypal patterns within your psyche. You could also be just kind of developing new tools and new understandings that give you more insight into your general temperament and who you are as a person. And I think that these new insights that you're getting about yourself are probably going to be really also like linking back to that first message that I got about like doing things differently, and this being a very inventive time because you're seeing that you have certain skill sets or certain tendencies or certain temperamental aspects of yourself that make you unique, that you would be able to kind of direct those into maybe a different platform for yourself in your career, or perhaps a different position within maybe the company that you already work for, or could be in regards to starting your own business or growing your own business or changing your own business or quitting your old business and starting a new one. But it's coming like first from this deeper understanding of yourself. It's coming first from this place of recognizing new things that you're learning about your temperament and your personality and your natural, born strengths that then contributes to you creating this kind of different or very uniquely structured pathway. So I think that if you are a Pisces and you're considering restructuring your life somehow as a result of things that you're learning about yourself, or maybe things that you're even learning about psychology, you could be learning about specifically your psychology or your like the way that you work with energy. Even if you are a reader or if you're somebody who does energetic work, you could be learning more about kind of how those mechanics really happen for you individually, because we're all so different. And this could be leading you to, switch up your offerings. If you are, a Reiki healer, maybe you're doing a different type of a program, or if you're a life coach, maybe you're switching things up because you want to emphasize more of your extroverted qualities, or or maybe you're recognizing if you're an introverted Pisces, you might be realizing, okay, I need to switch things up so that I can support and be more in my introvert self. So maybe you want to move more towards writing or podcasting or things of that nature, and doing less video content, for example, or less live streams, or, you know, it's whatever, wherever you find yourself on the spectrum, that's really, you know, up to you. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that it seems like you're recognizing some things about yourself that give you more compassion for who you are, and also help you recognize like situations that you could really succeed in very well and be very happy while doing it. And I think that this is the time in April for you to engage in this topic further and really start to process and think about like what you want this to look like, because this is a very inventive time. This is a time to really be willing to do things totally differently. This is a time to express radical new ideas. And I think that globally, you know, as a society, we're all kind of going through this, but the way that it's manifesting for you is actually in, you know, a deeper understanding of your temperament and what you understand to be kind of like your personality and your natural tendencies, and how that sort of channels you or kind of directs your energy in the best way in terms of your career and how you express yourself in the world. So let's take a look at your cards and we'll get some more information on this and anything else that wants to come through. Pisces. 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 Okay. And I'm also going to get you a Bob Ross message because this deck is so beautiful and sweet, and I just absolutely can't imagine not working with it this month. All right, Pisces, let's take a look. So we've got Sea Serpent as the path and Panther, wow, as the influencing energy. So again, this really speaks to a powerful rebirth when it comes to your creativity and your self-expression, because with the Sea Serpent as your path, in this deck, there are some creatures that are associated more with spiritual dimensions and not necessarily physical, like members of the animal kingdom. And the Sea Serpent is one of those. It's associated with the second chakra, which is the seat of our creativity. Physically it's the reproductive organs, but symbolically and in terms of the energetics, it's the part of our energetic physiology, if you will, that is related to our creative self-expression. It's related to vulnerability. It's related to the ability to kind of open up and experience intimacy. And there's something about this card with your path that it's like the snake eating its own tail, or the serpent eating its own tail, is showing me that you are going through some kind of cyclic rebirth when it comes to who you are as a creative person. So if you are a creative person that has dedicated a certain amount of time to maybe one type of work or one facet of your creative self, you could be finding in April that it's like, it's time for something else. It's time for something else. It's time for you to expand on what you've already been doing. And I also think that it's time for you to try something new as well. And I think that this is culminating in perhaps some like returning to something that you know that you are skilled at, or coming back to something that you've visited before, like previously in your career or in your lifetime. And I feel like this is kind of like a maturation. It's like you're coming back to the same point, but you know more, you've experienced more, or you have new talents in other modalities or across other industries and across other skill sets that are affecting and informing how you come back to this certain subject. So maybe you've been a painter your whole life, for example, and in April, you know, you're coming back to that, but for the last, you know, 3 years, you've been in interior design. And so that's been like where all of your creative energy has been channeled. And then in April, you know, maybe because of world events or because of, you know, multiple factors, you're coming back to the painting very strongly. You know, it's something like that. It's like you're coming back with more awareness of your craft and with more like maturation, I want to say, in regards to your craft, whatever it is. And you like hit the ground running. Whatever this is, you're going hard because you've got the Panther as the influence. And the Panther card in this stack is really about the hunger for new experience. It's about the powerful kind of roar of like, I belong in a territory. I belong in this territory, and I'm hungry for new experience. Like I want to be a part of this, basically, is kind of the energy of the Panther card in this context. And it's interesting that it's coming up with the sea serpent, because the sea serpent is, like, in my view, when I contrast these cards, the sea serpent is a very kind of feminine, soft, kind of yin energy. It's an energy that sort of has a I want to say like an unconscious aspect, in the same way that our heart pumps and it's unconscious. Like our unconscious is what controls that, or our reproductive system. You know, if you're cycling and you're a woman, like all of that stuff, you don't have to think about initiating follicle stimulating hormone to start the reproductive process every cycle. You don't think that. You don't have to engage that. It just happens. So I feel like the sea serpent card, you know, representing this area of the body, and also like the area of life that's ruled by creativity. There's something here about like an unconscious cycle that is pulsing, like it's pulsing, and you're becoming more aware of it. And it's something that can feel actually very synchronistic and sort of magical and natural and organic at the same time. But then you have the Panther crossing over it, so your conscious mind is very determined to engage with this process. Your conscious mind is coming in like ready for whatever this is. You're fierce, Pisces. You're fierce. You're ready to dig in and make something different, to do something different, to reach for something else, something new. And I think that this is going to be very empowering. These energies are going to be very empowering for you in April, because you're going to feel as though your natural rhythm is very much in alignment. Like your internal natural rhythm is in alignment with the outer rhythm of the environment. And when you see that, and you feel it and you notice it, you're like, wait a minute, I have the energy or the free time today to put towards something, and I see that this is actively something that people want, or this is actively something where there is an opportunity. It's like things are lining up between the outer world and your inner world, and also your skills and capacities and strengths, as well as the needs of the world around you. So this is like the key kind of fitting into a lock energy right here. So I'm really excited for you, and I want to get some more information. So let's take a look at your cards. Wow, so we've got 10 of Swords with the Chariot. That's fascinating. I accidentally turned over the Strength card and the Hanged Man at the same time. We've got the Queen of Cups, your card. It's really beautiful. 6 of Swords, the Moon, and Temperance. Wow, so you've got 5 major arcana cards here. That's very significant. That's very significant. So as I'm looking at this, when we see a lot of majors coming up in a reading, it really speaks to a profound spiritual lesson or spiritual experience that the individual is having. And because this is a general reading, I think that this is really showing, because you are mutable water, you're the sign that is the most emotionally aware of the collective. I think that seeing this in your spread, these major arcana cards showing up so strong, it shows that you are, in my opinion, probably the sign that is the most impacted by the emotional energy of the events that are going on right now. And we all are, but for you and for those of you who have like maybe a stellium in Pisces or Pisces moon, or, you know, just like a lot of very strong emotional energy in Pisces, this is definitely showing that you are very much feeling the collective emotions of the world. And I think that this is something that can be difficult. It can be a challenge. So you could be feeling more like tired as we go into April. That's kind of the energy that I get with this Ten of Swords card, especially because like the cards that follow it, there's a pattern, but I feel like there is the potential that you've been feeling kind of drained, or that you've been feeling just some of the energy of the people, and feeling like the fear that maybe some people are feeling. But I don't think that you've been necessarily feeling it and like going into it so much yourself as I look at these cards, because the Chariot is right next to this. So the Chariot is showing someone who is kind of suited up, right? Like he's wearing armor, he's being kind of practical in terms of like putting on this garb that will protect him while he goes out in the world. So I think some of you could be like taking that approach where it's like, this card is associated with the sign of Cancer, the astrological water sign of Cancer. So it's your sister sign, it's a fellow water sign, it's a fellow sensitive sign. You have that sensitivity, but then at the same time, you are like, you're doing good, I think, at shielding yourself from like excess stress and worry, especially and particularly in the first week of April. I think that you are letting go with the Ten of Swords. You could be letting go of something that is not really that you can't control, basically. It's like letting go of what you can't control with the Ten of Swords and finishing up a process. And then at the same time with the Chariot, you're like, okay, here's the things that I can influence, or here's the things that I can control. So you're taking the reins of your own life, stepping back from something that you can't control so that you can focus all of your energies on what you can make a difference with. And that could be something like maybe people that drain you in your life. You might have been checking in on people that are being kind of negative, or you might have been, really trying to support other people emotionally, perhaps. And maybe with the Ten of Swords, you're like, I'm letting go. I'm surrendering to the fact that I can't control how this person sees a particular situation. And so I'm just going to focus on my path and my journey. And I think that's going to be very rewarding to you in the first week of April. So definitely a shift of empowerment and a shift of feeling very action oriented in some way. Now, by the second week of April, we have the Hanged Man and the Queen of Cups. So this is a very sweet draw. I expect for you that the second week of April will probably be quiet. For many of you, we could still be engaged in social distancing at that time. We could still be, many of us looking for ways to kind of curb our normal routine in order to support the healing that needs to happen on the planet. But I feel like, regardless, that second week of April, you've got time to meditate, so why not? That's the question, Pisces, why not? I see you being very meditative. I see you kind of maybe exploring subjects that are related to your creativity, spirituality, or maybe even like developing your clairs more deeply, like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, that type of thing, because she looks like she's very focused. And the Queen of Cups is sort of also a good significator for somebody who is very refined, or is constantly in this process of refining their relationship to their self, like themselves. So you're kind of connecting more and maybe taking some really good time for you, maybe really recharging your batteries, especially if you've given up worrying about something that you don't have control over, then the energy that sort of comes in right around that Libra full moon on April 8th is this energy of kind of quiet contemplation and reflection with the Hanged Man as well. So I see the second week of April being very healing, very nurturing for you, very quiet. I think that it will be really beneficial for you to do meditation or maybe dream work, or even something creative that lets you listen to music while you're creating, or that, like, allowing yourself to get lost in music, allowing yourself to dream about things, or just kind of getting creative in those ways. But I feel like it's very quiet. I feel like it's very nurturing. So that's kind of the energy that we're seeing for the second week, and that should be really, really nice. Now the third week of April, we do see a shift. So we've got the Six of Swords and the Moon card. So the way that these come up is that the Six of Swords is moving into the moon. Now the moon, there's a lot of things that we could say about the moon card, but for me, it can symbolize the unconscious mind. It can symbolize, going into the unknown. So when we have the Six of Swords kind of aiming at the moon, I think that by the third week of April, some kind of journey is going to become real for you. And I don't know if it's going to be a physical travel. We could see some maybe travel bans being lifted at that time, perhaps. That's what these cards could be hinting at. And we have actually seen that in other readings this for April, where the third week did show kind of a shift in energy. So there could definitely be a lift on travel bans, or a lift a little bit on the social distancing side of things. But if it's not that, this is kind of venturing even more deeply into, I would say, a realm of spiritual practice, or it could be a landscape that is very creative, because the moon also for me represents creativity, but it's kind of like the unknown side of things, or like the difference. It's like walking that fine line between what is known and what is unknown, because here we have the wolf and we have a dog. So there's this kind of wild creature that represents things that are kind of outside of the influence of civilization. And then we have the dog, which is like our, best friend, companion, what a creature that we understand. So there's a sense of like you in the third week of April having to walk this fine line between something that feels totally bizarre and strange and unruly and different, along with, still trying to stay connected to something that has a semblance of routine and has a semblance of regularity to it. And I think that if you can find a way to walk that fine line, I think that you'll be happier with the outcome than if you were to like completely throw yourself into like lacking complete routine, or trying to stay too much on the well-beaten path. So I hope this makes sense. Like you have a choice, Pisces, in the third week of April. You have a choice to do something that's like totally wild, or to try and balance that with something that's a little bit more tried and true. And I think it is important for you to be inventive. I don't think you should lose that side of it. But looking at these cards, I am seeing like maybe even getting some support, in that third week of April. Maybe like it could be beneficial for you to talk with like a business consultant if you're an entrepreneur, or maybe working with somebody who does marketing, perhaps, or maybe working with like hiring an editor if you're writing a manuscript. I think that like that third week of April, there's some kind of poignant decisions that you're going to be making in regards to your creativity and kind of like the direction that your professional life is moving in. And I think that you actually, in this case, could benefit from an outsider's opinion, as long as that outsider is far enough outside of your normal industry that they're going to be able to give you like a fresh perspective that's not sort of tainted by the expectations that your industry has, if that makes sense. Like if you're writing a book, you want to have an editor maybe that is, good with editing, but isn't necessarily somebody who only edits books and only reads in your genre that you wrote in. Because I think that, like, if you do that, the danger is that they could try and kind of influence your material to make it more to make it more cohesive, or to make more sense within that realm. But the beauty of what you're doing is that it's different. So you have to find that balance between making sure that you're kind of hitting all your bases to ensure that whatever you're working on is going to be like productive and beneficial for others, and there is some kind of inherent structure to that. But also, you need to, if you're going to be seeking outside advice, make sure that you're seeking it like far enough outside of your industry that they're not going to try and influence your work to make it kind of fit more the mold of your industry or of your readership or of your genre. I know this is like a really long time that I'm spending on this message, but it's because I think that this is going to be a really important message for some of you out there who are entrepreneurs or who are artists or who already have an existing business, even if it's like a side business or if you have a page or a website or a blog. I think it is important to get a second opinion in that third week, or to kind of collaborate somehow. But I also feel like you need to make sure that that advice isn't coming to you in a way that's going to make you like try and influence you to be more cookie cutter in some fashion. Because really what is so special about what you're doing is that nobody has seen it before, and that it really resonates, because then that's truth. If it's not regurgitated from something else, but it's also very authentic to your unique experience, like that is what rings true for people. So whether it's your readers or the people who purchase your art prints or who engage with your business or whatever. Now let's take a look at the last two cards for the month of April. This is looking at the last week of April. We've got the Strength card and Temperance. So this is about, really, this is very sweet energy. It's about persisting, first of all. It's also about patience and sort of looking at like the way that your situation is evolving is going to require you to apply yourself in a gentle but persistent way. So gentle and persistent is like your keyword, your key phrase for the last week of April. You could be dealing with a situation that doesn't necessarily move at the pace that you want. And if that's the case, you're going to have to slow yourself down a little bit to guide it. And conversely, there could be a situation in your life that you feel like is moving at a pace that's harder for you to manage because it's going too fast, and you'd rather kind of slow it down and look at things, but you may not have that option. So you're going to have to, in that situation, modulate your own energy so that you can keep up. You're going to have to adjust, basically. Like the last week of April is about adjusting and adapting to a situation that is running on a rhythm that is outside of like your comfort zone, whether it's too slow or too fast or too big or too small or whatever. This is the time to really look at the situation and what it demands of you and what it seems like it needs, and then find your best way to stretch to meet that need. This is really about taking more of a yin approach to your life and a yin approach to achievement. And for me, a yin approach isn't about just sitting back and not doing anything. A yin approach is about taking a step back, assessing the entire situation as a whole, and looking for the deficiencies, looking for the necessities of the situation, looking for points of conflict or points of challenge within the situation, and then finding a way to kind of spread yourself, like butter or something, like spread yourself into that situation and make it better. And so the way that this could work in practical terms, because I know I'm expressing things in a very abstract way, but the way that this could manifest is, let's say you have maybe a role at work that's changing. You might feel like this isn't necessarily the thing that you're going to be doing forever, and this may not be the way that you're going to have to work forever, but for right now, you have to be the one to implement a totally new system, which is like really bizarre to you. And you're going to have to find the ability to kind of work with that in some way, at least for now, while new things are developing in other areas of your life. So that's kind of like one way that could come about. But I also just in general feel these cards, it's like you could be tending animals as well. Some of you at the end of the month, like you might foster an animal, or you might be working more with children or animals in some meaningful way at the end of the month of April. I see that kind of bringing out a soft side of you, which is not hard to find in a Pisces, but bringing out a soft side in you, and also like giving you this kind of quiet sense of grace and a quiet sense of purpose, because with these cards we do see this clear sense of peaceful purpose in your life. We see you looking at like the needs of others around you, or like I said, the needs of a project, or the needs of a situation at work, for example, or the needs of a situation within your family. And you're kind of gently just finding your path to fulfilling those needs and feeling a lot of like self-esteem from that, and a sense of like quiet grace for yourself, because you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You know that you're needed, you know that you're providing something beneficial to others, and you know that everything's going to be okay. So there's this peaceful energy that we get from these cards, but it does require you to kind of adapt yourself to a situation that's outside of you, right? Like it's not necessarily you creating everything and controlling everything. It's you kind of finding your flow with it, if that makes sense, at the end of the month. So I hope that was helpful for someone out there. I think that's gonna be a really beautiful week. Okay, let's take a look at your Bob Ross message. And that may be the true joy of painting, when you share it with other people. I really believe that's the true joy. That may be the true joy of painting, when you share it with other people. I really believe that's the true joy. I love that. And I think that it's very pertinent to what we just talked about with these cards, because I mean, as a Pisces as well, your sense of purpose in life is often connected to like the way that you feel when you're able to make a positive difference for someone, or when you recognize what someone else is going through and you really feel that. Like that's kind of that's where all like the juice in life is for a lot of Pisces. And obviously I'm generalizing, there's a lot more to it for you than that, but it's a big part of what makes you feel like you have done enough, you know, is even just being aware of like the suffering, or like the pain or the difficulty that other people are going through, and really like understanding where people are coming from, but then being able to somehow lift the vibration of that, or somehow relieve that. Like that is one of the biggest gifts. I mean, you are, for me anyway, you are one of only like 3 main healing signs that I consider to be like the healing signs in astrology. And I think that when you're given opportunities to really embody like those healing elements that I just described, I think that you know peace in your heart in a lot of ways. And I think that you also see the benefit coming to you in prosperity as well, and in a sense of like being able to walk in alignment with your truth in your lifetime. So that's kind of what I see for you Pisces. That was a really deep reading. I hope you guys are still with me, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on my channel. If you want to just let me know that you're still with me and you got something beneficial from the reading, leave me a little purple emoji heart below. I would absolutely love to see that, and they always make me smile, and it helps support my channel. So all those things would be amazing. Also, liking this video, giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications. All of that is amazing too. Okay, Pisces, take care of yourselves in April. If you'd like to participate in April Fool's Journey, it's a tarot journey through the major arcana that we're going through on Instagram. It's totally free. It's just a way for us to hang out and connect with the cards. I will put that information below. Sending you tons of love. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.